Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel Roam with Romy, where we explore and uncover patterns and red flags so that you can make wiser choices in life, love, and anything in between. We are on to our new case study of the month, and today's case study subject was voted for by you all, and I realized that this person wasn't popular demand, and so I had to deliver for y'all. For this month, we are covering Adrienne and Bailon-Houghton. And for November, I made an executive decision to cover Taylor, Travis, and Kayla. Yes, y'all, all of them. So after that, then you'll vote for the December couple going forward. Before we begin diving into this case study, I do have to add a disclaimer. All of the opinions and information that I share in this video, they're public information that you can easily find online. That's number one. And number two, these are my opinions and my opinions alone. Now, without further ado, let's start this case study. Before we start into the sanctified and holy marriage of Adrienne and Israel, we have to take it back. Adrienne Eliza Bailon-Houghton was born on October 24th, 1983. Yes, y'all, sis is a Scorpio. Now, I don't know much about Scorpio women, but I did have an old childhood friend, who is an ex-friend, by the way, who was also a Scorpio. And what I will say is that she was extremely male identified. I mean, like, as soon as she got a boyfriend, we ain't never heard from her again. Now, she did it once. She got with a man, and then she left everybody on red. Then after that, when they broke up, she came out and said, you know, he didn't let me contact people. Okay. So I felt bad for her. I was like, all right, we could be friends again. And y'all want to know what sis did? She did it again, y'all. So when she got with her second man, she started dating him. I ain't never heard from her ever since, y'all. She been gone like the wind. And judging by this lineup of celebrity women who are also Scorpios, I think that my assessment is accurate. Adrienne was born to a Puerto Rican mother and an Ecuadorian father, and she grew up in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. So she's from New York, New York.
New York is like the ultimate melting pot. I felt like when I went to high school, I felt like I was at the United Nations. The New York City streets raised me to some extent. I may not be book smart, but I am absolutely street smart, and I'm very aware of my surroundings. I think that comes from being on the trains at a very young age. Yeah. And you're just taught to have like a defense mechanism, but I'm always very alert. The other thing is, I think the streets also taught me how to trust my gut and my instinct. Yeah. I like to say that I have a sixth sense of like what's real and what's fake. Like, I think when you grow up in a city that hustles all day, I'm like, ooh, I can spot a hustler from a mile away. You can't run game on me like that. Like, I normally am able to recognize that.
Now, you may be asking, how did a little girl from the Lower East Side of Manhattan get into this entertainment business?
I have siblings. I have one sister named Claudette. She's older than me, 3 years older than me. We're best friends and soulmates, we say. And I have 5 stepbrothers: Elvis, Jorge, Joey, John, and Eric. And I actually didn't get stepbrothers until I was about 14 or 15 years old, because that's when my parents got divorced and remarried. My mother was a special ed teacher's aide, and my dad was a lab technician. Crazy thing is, my dad actually started out being a singer. He came from Ecuador with a dream. He sang cumbia, salsa music, and that's how he actually met my mom in a club, a salsa nightclub. He was the singer of the band in Queens, New York.
While Adrienne is most famously known for her role as a co-host on The Real alongside Tamar Braxton, Jeannie Mai, Lonnie Love, and Tamara Maury Housley, she was also most famously known as a musician prior. That's how I knew her, y'all. I knew her from 3LW. But before she got into 3LW, she was discovered by Ricky Martin. Y'all know Ricky Martin from Menudo. And then he did Livin' La Vida Loca and a whole bunch of other songs in the 90s. He was very extremely popular during that time, during the Latin invasion. That's what they called it, y'all. The Latin invasion, y'all. That's what they called it. Shout out to all my Latinos out there. Y'all really held it down in the 1990s, man. Listen, before there was Bad Bunny, there was Daddy Yankee. He had me singing Gasolina like I knew the words of the song. I knew nothing about what he was saying, but that beat slapped so hard. They made the 90s more flavorful, along with us. Of course, you know, as black folks, we held it down too. Listen, it's solidarity over here. Sometimes y'all be on some stuff, but for the most part, as far as the music goes, it was on lock. Like, we had some really good music.
Vamos a disfrutar de otra de las cosas buenas de Mira quién baila, el talento de artistas como Adrienne Bailon.
Hey, I'm Adrienne Bailon, and this is my Cosmo for Latinas fashion shoot. We are in my hometown of New York City, representing all the Boricuas. Check that out over there. See, it says Boricua. You know, that's really cool. Anyway, we are in El Barrio, and we are shooting on the streets for the spring edition of magazines.
We have these role models now, these Latina role models, and it's even more. It's like the surgence of it, and it's so wonderful.
I didn't grow up with a magazine that had the cover person was a Latina. We thought this was never going to happen.
And it's so wonderful for Adrienne to just embrace it and love it.
Being Latina to me means living your life like it's a big old fiesta. It's about family. It's about, I don't know, there's just something so special about it. There's an orgullo. There's this pride I feel about being Latina. Don't make me talk about it. I will get emotional.
While she was performing in a church choir at Madison Square Garden, Ricky Martin spotted her and was like, "You gonna be a star, baby girl." Following the performance, Bailon auditioned and became part of the girl group 3LW alongside Keely Williams and Notori Naughton.
Apollo, put your hands together for epic recording artists who call themselves Three Little Women. 3LW, y'all. Give it up for 3LW.
I grew up singing in my house constantly. My home was filled with music. I grew up in church, in a Pentecostal church where we did these elaborate church plays, and I tried to star in every single one of them. And I grew up just with a passion for the arts, singing, dancing, acting. And I would say that that was the preparation for the time when I got my big break. When I was 14 years old in high school, I actually went to a medical high school because I thought I wanted to be an obstetrician. I guess I was going to sing the babies out. I actually did an internship at Beth Israel, and this guy named Reggie walked up to me and he's like, "Yo, Ma, you sing?" "Yes, I do. What do you want to hear? I got songs ready to go." There's no such thing as luck. It's preparation meets opportunity. And when I tell you I was prepared, ask my neighbors. They were hearing me sing every single day from the moment I woke up to the time I went to bed. My mom was like, "We're about to get evicted, Adrienne. Nobody wants to hear you hollering La India, Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, Celine Dion." So when that moment came, I had songs prepared and ready, and he actually was who introduced me to my first manager who managed 3LW and was putting together a girl group.
I knew that you were going to do something special with your life. A lot of special people, I've done. A lot of people would sometimes even criticize me because they felt that I didn't I guess, punish you or discipline you a certain way. But I knew that I could not break you. You had a spirit that could not be broken. And I believed in God, and it happened. And I just knew that there was something special that you were going to be involved in. I didn't know exactly what it was. And when you were 14 and it presented itself for you to become part of 3LW. It was difficult for me because everyone, including my family and the church and everyone, was against me making this decision. But I knew, and at the time I had gotten married to Papa, and we sat, and he said to me, "If you don't allow her to do this and this goes somewhere, she'll never forgive you." You have to take the chance.
3LW exploded and became an overnight success.
3LW, everybody.
Treat me like a lady when you open doors and doors. And you wanna run when you're with your boys, your boys.
Thank you guys so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having us.
I really appreciate it. You're all dressed up and everything. Thank you. First off, I want to say congratulations because I heard your album went platinum. Give it up for that.
Thank you. Platinum. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys and MTV for, giving us so much love and support. 3, 2, 1. I'm Adrienne. I'm Keely. And I'm Naturi. And we're 3LW. Our manager, Michelle Williams, who's also Keely's mom, held an audition for a group that she knew wanted to be called 3 Little Women. And from there, she handpicked us all. And we did our demos, got together, she saw how well we got along, did our demos, and in 4 months we had our deal with Sony Epic.
The 90s was filled with a lot of R&B girl groups. We had TLC, SWV, Escape. However, they were more of the old school type of R&B groups. In the mid-90s, that's when the younger R&B girl groups started to come out, such as Destiny's Child and 3LW. And their first single, No More Baby I'ma Do Right, debuted in 2000, and it reached number 23 on the US Billboard Hot 100 chart.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Keely.
What's up? I'm Turi.
And I'm Adrienne, and we're
3LW.
Wanna get down, baby? I do.
That's right. Here's Nivea featuring Jagged Edge at number 7, coming in with Don't Mess With My Man.
How y'all doing? Y'all doing all right? Real good. That's good. That's good. Y'all kind of young to be professional singers. How old are y'all?
I'm Naturi and I'm 15. I'm Adrienne and I'm 17. And I'm Keely and I'm 14.
14. Oh, y'all young. Y'all go to school?
Definitely, of course. We have a tutor that comes on the road with us all the time. We take our educations very, very serious. For real. Stay in school, everybody.
This song catapulted 3LW into superstars. Y'all remember the song, I'm getting a little tired of your broken promises.
I'm getting a little tired of you broken promises.
Looking at your pages, seeing different numbers. Y'all, that song had us girlies at 14 years old having these young boys step up to be men. That was 3LW in a nutshell, y'all. But they had some really good hits. That album was fire. My favorite song from the album was It's Getting Too Heavy For Me. Ooh, that song still hits till today. I love that song. Now, their follow-up single, Players Are Gonna Play, also peaked on the Billboard 200 charts. What made this group very unique is the fact that they had a visual representation. You had the darker skinned black girl, which was Naturi. Then you had the Latina girl, which was Adrienne. And then you had Keely, who was biracial. And so this was extremely unique, especially during that time where people just wanted more diverse representation, especially when they were watching their girl groups. And so that's why a lot of young girls connected with them, because they could see themselves in the group. Now, although 3LW was extremely successful, one thing I must say about 3LW is that they had some good hits. And there was actually no reason for them to disband, because people were thinking like, hey, this group is super successful. They had a lot of really great songs. Similar to Escape, they didn't really fall off because people got tired of listening to their music or that they pretty much like outgrew the music. No, they fell out due to colorism and violence.
It's hard to pinpoint where things went bad with 3LW, like where did we go astray? But I do know that the adults, managers, production company, there were a lot of adults that were influencing us. They wanted to control, what we were going to become and what kind of music. And it was just so much about making us successful that they forgot to let us be successful. Like, we had a platinum selling album. What is wrong? It became, Naturi's voice is too soulful. You're not crossover enough. Naturi, your look is not hot right now. Nobody's checking for a dark-skinned girl. Why would we put you in front? Everything that was working, it had reversed. I was a girl from Jersey. I'm a brown-skinned sister who was out here being true to who I was, and they wanted to change the image. So the second album was when everything changed. Second album with 3LW, I wasn't allowed to sing lead as much anymore. I was told that my sound was not commercial or sellable or crossover. And I think when people get successful, they literally lose their mind. The managers of that group became very strategic about what kind of group we were going to be. Instead of letting the fans choose, like they liked 3LW the way we were. One of the lowest points of being in the group 3LW for me was the day when we officially broke up and I left the road. We had this huge fight, which I'm sure many of my fans that remember, because I was on 106 in Park talking about, people started talking about, oh, there was a 2-piece chicken. She threw chicken in her face. It wasn't just about the chicken, but that did really happen. For the record, a lot of people ask me, did y'all really have a fight at KFC? Yes, we did.
Red flag. Ratchet behavior, y'all. Getting into an argument and throwing chicken. Now, I'm not talking about Notori, y'all, because we're going to find out who the culprit in this really was.
About this, start with you.
What's up? I'm Keely.
All right.
Hey, I'm Notori. Hey, this is Adrienne.
All right, you're here on the TRL tour doing your thing. You got to let everybody know, how did 3LW get together?
Well, actually, Keely's mom is our manager right now, Michelle Williams, and she used to manage artists like Joe, CeCe Peniston. So she was in the business for a while. So Keely decided, hey, I want to start a group. Her mother was like, I bet, let's do this. So they held auditions, found Adrienne, found me, and we didn't know each other. We weren't friends at first. We actually had to learn to get along, but that's how we came together, and then we started making our albums.
Showcase for Tommy Mottola, and he gave us our record deal at Sony Epic.
Wow, you said you had to learn to get together with each other. Was that hard?
Yeah, it was a little difficult. It was a challenge. Keely might know about that one.
Let us know a little bit about that.
It was just Notori and I, we had some conflict.
Red flag. She was always the problem, y'all. Always the problem. Probably jealous because Notori is beautiful, poised. She seems like she has a really good head on her shoulders. That can awaken the devil in some people. It's very true. People will start to get jealous when they see that they want something you have. It's projection. She wish she could be Notori. That's usually how it goes, y'all. This is why. Notice how she said that she's always beefing with Notori, but not with Adrienne. I wonder why. You knew that she was a bigger star than you. All you could do was lisp and rap. That's it. That's all you could do. Daffy Duck. And Adrienne was talented too, but Keely could handle Adrienne, but not Notori. Her star was bigger than yours, and you were always threatened by that. That's all that is.
We just didn't get along very well.
Well, why not? What kind of issues were you dealing with?
She doesn't understand me.
Notori just won't listen. That's what it is. Nah, actually, the funny thing is, we always, Adrienne's like, and you know what? No. Nah, actually.
Okay, we'll let you explain it.
I think what happens in our situation is that we're so different from one another. Everybody comes from different areas and we're raised very differently from one another. So when we first got together, everybody had different opinions and a different way of looking at things. And we kind of had to formulate something that would fit all of us, which musically, we definitely took pieces that we loved from one another, blended that, and we started to blending our personalities as well, learning from each other and learning that it's cool to be different from one each other. You just learn to love each other and learn things from your differences and love each other no matter what.
Gotta keep the peace. Gotta keep the peace, Yeah, but it wasn't always like that, just so everybody knows, okay? This was not perfect.
But it's perfect now.
Well, our music and the way we blend our personalities and our harmonies, and when we get on stage, it is perfect. The blend that we have and the relationship that we share with each other is perfect. So, okay. I must say.
Is it 2L? Now, clear this up. Is it 3L?
The name is still 3LW. The name is 3LW.
The name is 3LW.
It's 2LW now. Something in the house.
In the house. They just performed I Do Off a Girl Can
No
Mac,
doubt. No doubt.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
Everybody's been talking about the change in the lineup. What actually went on?
All right.
What's going down?
Well, before we start, I just have a couple things that, I want to set the record straight about.
Okay.
I mean, yes, our group had some problems and we were working them out like any group, any friends would. But at no time were our problems ever about who was light skinned and who was dark skinned.
Ever.
And I mean, to me, I think it was really unprofessional and, kind of a cheap shot to, kind of reduce it to that when, I think Notori really knew that it was a very sensitive issue and people would react very emotionally.
So then the reports about it being racially motivated.
It was never racially motivated.
Red flag. The lie detector test determined that this was a lie. They stayed lying up in this interview, lies throughout this whole entire segment.
Okay.
So what was it? What happened?
Wow, I think there was a lot of situations. You know, girl groups have problems. Girls as friends have problems in general. And I really think that they were able to be worked out, you know? And I think they were going to be worked out. But when you hear your friend, you know, get on a radio station or get on a television show, you know, talking about your family, your financial statements, you're going to be hurt. And it's not going to go back to that same, you know, it's not going to go back to that same situation.
So we'll talk more about that in a little while. But is there going to be a new member in 3LW? Or?
No, there will not.
So who is this beautiful dark-skinned black woman that's dancing with y'all, who looks like Notori but isn't Notori? I thought y'all wasn't going to replace anybody. You're liars. That's what you are.
It's going to be 2LW.
Not at the current moment, no.
Okay.
You know, definitely there was thoughts about the, you know, in the panic of, you know, somebody leaves the role, you're just like, people are going to want to see 3 girls up there. It is 3LW, but
I mean, when she left, we were on a full-blown promo tour.
Exactly.
I mean, like we had a show an
Commitment.
hour after that and a show for the next 6 days after that. So we were all a little panicky, but you know, when we got home, we really got the chance to sit and think about it.
And we really realized that, you know, after the panic subsided that, you know, being in a group isn't just about, you know, knowing the words to a song or being able to dance really well, but about a relationship, and you can't build that in 3 days. So for now, it'll just be the 2 of us. We'll go forward promoting the album with just 2.
Have you all had any conversation since then, since you all were friends?
Not at all.
I know that after she left the road, we all wanted her back. You know, we were all like, when can she come back? But after
Legally,
you know,
she already had told us she had a lawyer. So legally, that wasn't, you know,
but you know,
supposed to be done.
after.
How does this affect the album? How much of Notori's vocals are on the album?
You know what? Whatever is on there will still be on there. And, you know, any way that she participated in the album, it'll still go that way. You know, we worked really, really hard, and, you know, the fans, you know, they've supported us this far, and it's an incredible album. We're really proud of it, and we'll be putting it out there. It'll be out October 21st, you guys. It will be out.
Okay, so we're going to
The Girl Can Mac, and we're just really proud of it. It's definitely, you know, it shows a whole new side to us, you know, and I think it's definitely a growth.
All right, we're going to talk more with the ladies, y'all. Adrienne and Kelly of 3LW in the house.
Hey.
No doubt. Now, we're going back to the subject we were talking about before, and reports are Notori's actually been going around and stating that there was a fight actually that sparked, I guess, the initial breakup of the group. Can you tell us about that?
Well, I know y'all all want to know, but I'm going to set the record straight. I did not throw a plate of food at Notori. That never happened. We'd be happy to tell you what did happen, but that's not what happened.
That's
So
not
what happened?
You know what? I feel kind of silly saying, like, Keely did not physically assault somebody with a 2-piece, because it sounds kind of silly, you know? But what happened was the true story is that, you know, there had been rumors going around that, you know, Notori was leaving the group, and, you know, we went to our publicist, and he advised us to have Notori answer the question. You know, the rumors are about you leaving, you know, you should answer the question. And she was advised to say, you know, girl groups go through their problems, which we were, and that, you know, but we're going to keep it moving, and which we were going to keep it moving. And I overheard her, you know, on the phone with our moderator of our website. And when it came down to it, her answer was, quote unquote, yes, the 2 light-skinned girls are kicking me out of the group.
That's the rumor, that she's forced out. Not that she wants to leave, that she wanted to stay, that she tried to stay, but
automatically,
she was forced out.
I'm like, that's not true. So we start an argument in the car. We're arguing back and forth, which is not unusual, you know. We're arguing back and forth. Keely comes in from KFC.
Red flag. So this entire situation popped off because of your messy behind, Adrienne. You should have just sat there and ate your food. Literally. But because you wanted to run up behind Keely, and for some reason y'all was tag teaming against Notori, then this whole situation got out of hand. This is a pattern, y'all. When you see somebody at a young age being that messy and meddling, and then also not taking any type of accountability and lying through her teeth, because y'all saw her hair flip and how she was swallowing, and then her voice got a little higher pitched than usual. That's a liar right there. Body language never lies. Y'all was lying and scamming and scheming on that 106 in Park stage. This is wild, y'all. And they were very young and impressionable. But this is what happens when you have the adults that are literally acting like teenagers, and they're more focused on getting the bag than actually helping these young women become better leaders and friends and also communicators for the future.
And comes in the car, she hears the conversation. We're all arguing at this point. Keely has a little god sister who's 3 years old and is in the car with us. And like any 3-year-old, gets excited with the rest of the adults in the car, throwing her hands, screaming, stop it, you guys. And literally, she, hit Keely's plate, and it was on everybody. Adrienne, when I tell you it was on everybody, it was on me, it was on Keely, it was on the manager, mainly on the baby in the seat.
Red flag. Really? Y'all gonna blame this on a 3-year-old? Wrap this interview up. Pack Adrienne and Keely right up out of here. Y'all notice how Free was like, She does not believe them one bit. Thank you, Free. Because notice how they're trying to act like, oh, we're so innocent. Free's like, girl, bye. Now, I know you guys were teenagers at the time, so I'll be a little nice and give you a tad bit of grace. I know this lie probably came from your raggedy ass Mama Keely. I already know that. And it seems like she's not that bright up in the head, because even though she produced all of these records for other people, even she couldn't come up with a good enough story as to how that plate of food flew across and got on Notori's face.
And next thing I know, her father's on the phone with our road manager saying, my daughter was physically assaulted by a 3-year-old. And at that point I was like, are you serious? It doesn't even sound like Notori.
Okay.
And ever since then, I feel like she's been on TV and, radio, kind of like abusing us in that sense,
I think she might be hurt too. I mean, you all look like
Definitely.
You all must be going through something. So, but is there any intervention that could have made it not take place? Any sit down, any meeting, anybody that could have came in and made
That
this
night.
work out?
That's what we wanted. And I know for a fact that me and Adrienne were sitting there like, come on, we have to work this out.
We went in a different car on the
we
ride
have to
back.
get this together. And on the way back, we're like, we have to get this together. This has gone too far.
We're gonna talk.
People are changing. And I don't know the person that I could have sworn that I knew. And we had a mindset that we were going to go back to New York and work this out and get it together. And the next morning, when we woke up, she wasn't there.
Okay. All right. Well,
Down, we have Notori in the house, formerly of 3LW. Now, a little while ago, we had 3LW up here, and they gave us their story. So let's take a look at that clip right now.
Cool. But I'm gonna set the record straight. I did not throw a plate of food at Notori. That never happened. We'd be happy to tell you what did happen, but that's not what happened. That's not what happened.
You know what? I feel kind of silly saying, like, Keely did not physically assault somebody with a 2-piece, because it sounds kind of silly,
That was 3LW up here telling their side of the story. We have Notori up here now. And you can, there's always two sides to a story. So we had you here. We don't want to start any controversy, but tell us your side of the story. What happened?
Well, basically, I think it's a little funny how they're dwelling on the food fight and they did not throw a 2-piece. I mean, when you really think about it, it goes far and beyond the whole 2-piece and the food fight and all that. It's before the food fight happened. It's basically, they wanted me out the group, and I want to make it clear that management wants to terminate me from the group. And be honest about it. Be real. You want me out the group. I'm not going to say I want to leave the group because that's not the case,
Okay. And how long had that been going on?
Wow, like 2 months, basically, management told me, hey, we have an understudy for you to replace you. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? We're about to come out with our second album. Things seemed cool to me. And then there was all this drama, like I'm not bringing the urban edge. And I was like, hey, let's do what we got to do.
Really?
No doubt. So what was the problem? Or what was the,
I really to this day, I still don't know what their problem was. I know I'm an artist. I'm here to work. I love to sing. I love to perform. That's what I do,
So you knew that they had an understudy, but you still had to work. Were you uncomfortable? You had to be uncomfortable.
I mean, honestly, it is uncomfortable to anybody who's on the road. You're supposed to be singing, doing your thing, trying to perform, and people telling you you're not good enough. We don't want you here. Come on now, what kind of stuff is that? That's not what I'm here for.
Right. Have you had any thoughts about, because you all did record this album that is coming out, have you had any thoughts about rejoining the group? Is there any way?
What I have to say about that is, as I said, I'm a singer and I'm an artist, and I feel like no artist deserves to be disrespected. In any situation, nobody deserves to be put down, degraded, or whatever. So I feel like I can't put myself back in that situation. I can't go back to people who don't want you there. So sometimes you have to just use it as, you know what, I'm going to take this experience and get stronger and do what I have to do.
Notori went on the Wendy Williams show and she exposed everything, y'all. Y'all know Miss Wendy Williams. Shout out to you, sis. Wendy Williams was the queen of radio back then. Nobody could touch her. She was beyond messy. I don't even know what to call that, y'all.
It was broken here on the show and around the country first, Notori, that you were in LA. What was that, about a week and a half ago?
Yeah, like almost 2 weeks ago.
And I did it in my usual dramatic style. I said, you all, well, we're enjoying the New York humidity and gossiping about what's going on. Young Notori is being kicked out of 3LW as we speak.
Yeah, there was a lot of drama going on. We were out in LA, and basically there was this whole thing that my management was telling me that they have an understudy for me, and I wasn't up to par, and they wanted me out the group. But I'm thinking, hey, I've been doing this for 3 years. I put my life into this. I love this. I would never want to leave 3LW, but things are being changed around, and the story is getting very, very twisted.
So at what point does it become so serious that you, well, brings you right here to the show? Are you in 3LW anymore?
Okay, well, technically I am still a member of 3LW, and I never actually left 3LW to begin with. The only reason I'm here, and I'm back in East Orange, New Jersey, is because I was forced off the road to leave because there was a basically attack on me by my group member, Keely Williams. She tried to assault me, threw a plate of food, hot food in my face, hit my eye, and I'm thinking, hey, I'm on the road trying to do my job. I don't have to take this. There's no reason why I should be getting hit, being cursed out, verbally abused, physically abused. So I left.
Okay, everybody just freeze. Let me just give myself some props because I brought it to you first. Many of you all dissed me afterwards because you all then went on one of the shows on MTV or BET or whatever, and everybody's like, well, there they are, you and your big mouth always talking something.
That was pre-taped, y'all.
Stupid.
MTV, pre-taped. We worked together at one point in Atlanta, Georgia, before the whole thing happened in South Carolina when I was attacked by my group member. Then I left. I got a flight out of Atlanta, came back to Newark, New Jersey.
Now, Keely is the one with the teeth.
She's the youngest member of 3LW.
Right. And so, why did she throw a plate of hot food at you like that? We're not taking any phone calls from anybody behind the scenes trying to shut this down. It's too late. As a matter of fact, let's lock the door to the studio just in case somebody tries to come in here and break this up.
Okay, so
Not Wendy locking the doors. My goodness, Wendy, your messiness knows no bounds. None at all.
Basically, we were in the vehicle, and there was all this talk about Wendy Williams is announcing what's going on with 3LW, putting our business on blast, and they were trying to say it was me. Like, I called you and was like, telling our business, and it had to be somebody connected with me. And
freeze, because we are related through Hunt Hamlin and Ridley. Ray Hamlin represents both of us, but that was nobody from them. You'd be shocked at how we actually got this information.
That's what I was trying to explain.
And it had nothing. So, because I see where people are going with this. This is not the way it was.
Right, my involvement.
Turn on his mic. Why is he talking through my mic?
My involvement in it essentially started after she came home from the road. I don't know anything about what's going on. I met with her and her folks, and, she came home, told me what was going on.
And that's when he got involved.
Now. This was last week. Thursday or Friday.
They were basically, management was yelling at me, calling me a liar, trying to say that my family and all this got involved, and just basically going at me, saying I had no right to tell Wendy our personal business, and why does she know? And I'm saying, hey, this is the real world. People talk. It's not like they haven't been telling people or announcing, yeah, we want her out the group. She's not doing her thing, and complaining.
The website also had a lot of information
Thank
as well.
you. I don't know how you could expect people not to get a hint that you had a problem with Notori of 3LW if you go on our website and say, oh, she wasn't the original member of 3LW, or, oh, we don't like her style of singing. This isn't the Supremes. And,
Now, let me ask you this, because it is my understanding that Keely, the youngest member with the teeth, sister is you all's manager or something like that?
Actually, okay, Michelle Williams is Keely's mother, but she's actually her sister.
Okay.
And T.
Wait,
Williams.
freeze. What the hell does that mean?
She's
Legal guard. I believe she's
legal guardian. So Keely's mother is her sister, legal guardian.
Yeah, it's her sister. Basically, it's her sister, but it's her mom. And T. Williams is her sister too, who's our production company.
They're all sisters.
They're all sisters.
But they're all older than Keely.
Yeah.
Are they like ages of moms? Are they like, you know, in their, or is Keely 16 and the mom, the guardian is like 21?
Much older. Like they're a lot of years apart. That's why Michelle's her mom.
Okay.
First her.
Are they mad at you because you come from a two-parent household and all like that? Because I did hear that you weren't ghetto enough, which is one of the things that...
This is how I think, well, it all started, and even Adrienne told me, this all started with the whole urban thing, and 3LW needed to grab in their urban audience.
Okay.
And they basically said that it was my responsibility to be the ghetto, around-the-way, urban chick that all the, around-the-way girls could relate to. I think people relate to me, but that doesn't mean I have to switch up who I am completely.
Right.
They were telling me you have to always be in Tim's, wear baggy pants, the way you dress, the way you talk, has to be that thug urban girl. And I'm saying, hey, I'm me. If the fans like it, why are you complaining?
And I'm listening to you talk and stuff like that. So where they say that you were dragged up as opposed to brought up? You know how, like, the difference between a young woman being dragged up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, by some wild dogs that raised her, as opposed to brought up by two parents who love each other. P.S. I met Notori's parents. I met them at the Hunt Hamlin and Ridley Christmas party. Hi, how you doing?
So basically, they wanted Notori to be the ghetto girl. And she wasn't, because, in entertainment, there can never be a variation of a black woman. She has to be loud, ghetto, uncouth, and unsavory so people can identify with her. Red flag. Why is it that every other race can get a different type of woman, a different archetype, but for us, it always has to be the same? This is the problem. But then, of course, years later, and it's still the same thing. People don't learn, but they're going to have to F around and find out anyways, because we are no longer doing that in 2025.
There was some names called, some profanities thrown. She turned around, Keely, and threw the plate of food, mashed potatoes, chicken, whatever else was in there, in my face. And I got out the car and I was just like, I'm going home.
Red flag. So now, Notori, you are a class act. Kudos to you, sis, for having that type of temperament and behavior and being able to walk away, because Lord knows 16-year-old me would have drugged Keely by the little thin hairs on her head. She would have been flatlined on the sidewalk, because ain't no damn way you threw a plate of food in my face and I'm just going to stand there and walk away. At that time, y'all, I was young. But I remember hearing this story and I was like, yo, Notori is better than me. Keely is a menace and was a menace. But her mother raised her. And you're going to hear it's all pattern and learned behavior. She learned it from somewhere. And somebody is definitely behind her, enabling this type of toxic, immature, childish, gutter butt behavior.
I got on a plane and came home to New Jersey. And my parents, hugged me and told me, this is not over. And it wasn't.
Her parents were right. Shout out to Notori's parents. Her dad seems like a very well-mannered man, and I could see where she gets her temperament from. I'm sure her mother is the same. And now look, she ended up being one of the most sought-out actresses. She also played a part in Power, one of the top television shows and television series on Stars. She had so many blessings since she left 3LW, and because she stood for herself, and she knew even at that time as a teenager that she didn't deserve it.
Years later, Adrienne and Notori publicly squashed the beef that they had back in the day, when Keely threw fried chicken and Adrienne was like running up behind her and whatever.
I think it's crazy because when I look at you, I really think about my teen years. We literally grew up together in bunk beds in New Jersey.
We did.
And I thank God for the time that I got to actually talk to you. A few years back, we had seen each other at an Us Weekly party.
I remember that.
See? years ago.
Years ago, yeah.
And we sat down and we talked everything out, and I was able to apologize to you if ever, you know, there was a lot that went on in that time that now looking back is just like, you were so young and it was crazy.
Yeah.
And that I genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, never meant any harm towards you. And that I think you're talented and beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, and that we had that moment together privately, you know?
Yeah, no, it was crazy because when, you know, going through what I went through with the group, it wasn't easy. It was a hard time. And everything with being a teenager and being criticized. And I went through a time when I didn't really think I could make it.
Yeah.
And I appreciate your apology because it's just humility. And at the end of the day, we have to love and support each other.
That's right.
It's not easy business.
Yeah.
And we have to uplift particularly young girls.
And I think looking back, a lot of that was fear. There was so much fear put in us just all around that when we look back,
Girl,
we're like,
I know. They had me scared. They had you scared. But the truth is we were kids and, you know, the adults in the situation, you know, did what they did. But thank God I'm here.
Yes.
We're just, you know, living life and moving forward.
Shout out to Notori for taking the high road with Adrienne and her messy behind, because she's the one who started this whole incident, by the way. Remember, she was the one overhearing the conversation and decided to bring Keely in. And that's how Fried Chicken Gate started. However, we will say that they were teens. The adults were the responsible parties that should have been there to try to diffuse the situation and make things better. But of course they didn't, like I said. And I'm happy that sis moved on. She's in a better space and place, and that her and Notori were able to move on from this. However, Keely was never able to move on. Yeah, remember I told y'all patterns, right? Because remember, she was like, well, I didn't do that. I didn't throw fried chicken. Well, let's see where Miss Fried Chicken is today.
Why would I throw chicken? That's wasting food. Right. And I was going for her neck.
Well, I know y'all all want to know, but I'm going to set the record straight. I did not throw a plate of food at Notori.
And I'm not ashamed of that, people. I'm not.
I always told her that people...
You call my mama a bitch, I'ma come. I'm throwing hands, food, whatever I got. My chonkla.
That's right. What can you expect? I appreciate her defending me. But also, people don't know.
Then she said we left her. She said we left her at the KFC.
We did not. We took her to the hotel, and then that was the road manager.
And that was the best part about it. Right. Remember, she was acting fine and texting and all fine in the car. And then when she got out and the rep came to meet us, she was like, like her face was burnt.
Oh, okay. Here it comes.
We're on Instagram Live, Vic.
Red flag. You think we believe you, Keely, and your raggedy ass mama? We don't believe neither of y'all. And look at here. This was 5 years ago she did this. This was years later, y'all. This was years later, and sis is still doubling down, causing chaos. Look at her. This is what happens when you harbor these type of emotions in your heart. When you don't take accountability, you lack awareness, and you're emotionally dysregulated. Look, it's all in her face. Bloated. She does not look like somebody who's taking care of her health or her wellness.
I'm here to help you guys become a group. Since leaving the front of the camera, I stepped behind. I develop new artists and work to get them record deals.
I think that you need more help than we need.
This is the mess. And mama's still behind her hyping up. Yeah, you know, she did this for me, but you know, blah, blah, blah. We're not buying it because you beefed with everybody you encountered. So we're gonna wrap 3LW right up. Let's fast forward to when they joined the second group that they ended up in, the Cheetah Girls. The Cheetah Girls, they were an American girl group, and they were formed in 2002. They consisted of Adrienne, Bailon, Keely Williams, Sabrina Bryan, and Raven Simone, because in the beginning, That's So Raven was hugely popular on the Disney Channel. The Cheetah Girls was originally supposed to just be a Disney movie about a girl group. It ended up being a huge success to the point where they made the Cheetah Girls 2, and the Cheetah Girls One World. It was major, y'all. Explosive. That movie made millions of dollars on Disney. And people were really, really fans of this whole group. However, of course, Keely was involved. And so now, remember, Notori's gone. The old victim left. And so now Keely had a new victim. Of course, she's always threatened and insecure whenever there's a larger star presence in front of her. So now let's see what happened with the Cheetah Girls, because, you know, there can't be two stars in the group.
I just want to get it out now that a lot of people ask me why I'm not a part of the Cheetah Girls. There's a couple of answers. One, I loved working on the Cheetah Girls 1 and 2. But, you know, I really wanted everybody to know that I started off at 5 as a solo artist, and I want to continue my career that way. And I don't want to get anybody confused from the different material. I don't want to come out with something with the Cheetah Girls and then later try to be all, you know, thick girl, big girl, and you can't handle it because you think I'm still 12.
The Cheetah Girls, Cheetah Sisters. There's so many secrets to that movie that no one will ever know. It's hilarious. I felt what it was like to be a part of something in a group formation and not have to lead. But I had never worked with an all-girl cast before. I love you, Adrienne. I love you so much.
Red flag. What happened between you and Adrienne Raven? You need to give us what's going on. This is what I'm talking about. Adrienne was all in the mix. Always acting like she was innocent and she was in the background while all the chaos was going on. But somehow she found herself in the mix. Notice how she specifically said Adrienne. So notice the pattern. They done did it with Notori and now they tried to do it with the Cheetah Girls.
Realized that I'm not good at drama. I'm not a fan of doing dramatic work. I like acting crazy on television, and that's what I do. I don't mind it. Me and anybody else just hold down the funny. Anyway, loved the music, loved performing with them. That's what made me confident in who I was at the time, even though I was still dating the same guy. Everyone knew what was up. Again, you have really powerful, young women in a position on a movie. How many lobsters you about to put in a pot? You know what I mean? We're good, though. I love you, Adrienne.
Hey, yo, Keely Williams is online, yo. She's been having my name in her mouth recently.
Who's Keely?
Keely Williams from the Cheetah Girls.
Oh, the one with the gap that made that song.
She doesn't have a gap anymore.
Oh, okay, she got her teeth fixed. But wait, what was her name? Oh my God, I mean, she did a song. It was
The sex was spectacular.
Wait,
Don't
she's
play
talking
with her.
about you?
She had my name in her mouth, but I appreciated it. It was in true Keely form. She promoted my stuff while causing drama.
All right.
So I appreciate it.
Somebody's rude. Let me tell y'all, first of all, for everybody on here looking for us to be messy, rude, and disrespectful to y'all, not every situation has to end ratchet, so you're welcome. I can't stand people. Get off my line.
Yeah. No, but it's not you. It's me. Well, I don't know.
It is you, Keely. Red flag, both of y'all. But it's mainly you. Let's continue watching this.
What's the middle ground? Like, why didn't you do the third one?
Mommy,
for real?
The cliquish way that there was during that movie made me feel excluded from my original teen set. Not that it was strong to begin with, but I felt excluded. And there was someone.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. And there was someone there, because you know me, and that's when me and Belinda really started being friends because we felt ostracized.
Yeah.
And, you know, we have other things that just led up to that moment that, you know, just were weird, personal, outside of business.
Keely then apologized to Raven, and Raven accepted it. But it doesn't seem like the drama between Keely and Adrienne will get resolved anytime soon.
You gotta talk to Adrienne, dude.
Why do I have to talk to Adrienne?
Because you're the firecracker.
No, she didn't come to my dad's funeral or call me when he died. No. I'm sorry, and I'm not trying to be messy, but I'm being for real with you. No. I'm sorry. I love you. I swear to God. I'm not, nope. Come on.
Red flag to Adrienne. How is this your home girl? And you didn't even send your condolences to her father. I really feel for Keely in this particular moment. Y'all know nuance. I could still drag her and feel sorry for her at the same time. Her daddy passed away. That is a very significant moment in a friend's life. And yet Adrienne was nowhere to be found. Why? Because it no longer benefited her at that time. I'm noticing another pattern because remember, she apologized to Notori on The Real and sought after Notori at some entertainment Hollywood party, but that's because Notori was becoming more famous and she was starting to become well known, especially in the circles in New York and on TV. She was starring in 50 Cent's TV show Power. And y'all know that 50 Cent is a rapper. Y'all know Adrienne likes to be around rappers. Just like Jeannie, very similar, birds of a feather, of course. This is where we got the apology.
Laura was like, we had just had Adrienne Bailon on the show.
Okay.
And she said, oh, did you see Adrienne apologize to Notori on TV? And I said, and I'll be honest, this is how bad I am. I'm like, I didn't even know they had problems. I really hadn't followed the...
How you in the music? You ain't know about 3LW? You missed that?
No. I played 3LW.
Oh.
I just didn't follow along with the beef.
But the funny part is
I played no more. I played the records.
Yeah,
I was
you
on the
played the
radio,
records.
okay?
That's what I'm talking
Three
about.
Little Women. I know the records.
Okay,
But I
just
didn't
making
follow the
sure.
beef.
Gotcha.
So I didn't really know. I knew there was something, but I didn't know how bad it was. And I'll just tell you the truth right now. We watched that video. And I'm not going to lie to your face while you're sitting here and tell you that I believe that you accepted that apology for 1 second. Because I've never seen someone look like they accepted an apology less. Did you? You accepted that apology?
What? I heard you guys on the radio that day
You
talking
did?
about. Yes.
You were like, because you looked like you were looking at it like.
One of my girlfriends called me, was like, yeah, they're talking about it on Ebro in the morning show. They're talking about how your face was definitely not. I don't know what you guys saw.
Okay.
I just will say, you know, it wasn't something I appreciate. It wasn't something I was like, oh, I need this apology and it's gonna. I had let go of any animosity towards her, toward the group, because it had been like 15 years.
Of course.
But for me, it was more so like, you know, I appreciate that. It was a difficult time, and I just tried to, you know, receive it and let her know that I'm moving forward, and as women, we should both be able to do our separate things. I mean...
So it's more that it surprised you a little bit because it wasn't a moment you needed it anymore.
No, and they told me before I was coming, you know, on that she wanted to address something, so they gave me a heads up.
That's nice.
I didn't know exactly what was going to happen or what was going to be said, but I felt like she really genuinely wanted to kind of squash it. I don't know why. What is my... my face? I just accepted it, and I said thank you.
I don't know.
But, I don't know. Maybe I should have done more.
No, you shouldn't have done anything.
Maybe a little tear. Maybe a tear. Maybe one of these.
That's what people wanted. That's the thing. I'm not for those things.
This is why I loved it, though, because look at you just being honest. There's nothing wrong
I
with
was
what
just
you
keeping
took
it real, but
right.
they wanted me to be like,
no.
They wanted the Oprah hug it out, cry.
We love that you didn't do all that, though.
It was
That's
just
the
real.
thing. That was the thing. We love that you didn't do all that.
Oh, well,
we
I
love
appreciate
that you were just like, okay, I've already obviously looked like you moved on. You're on a smashed show. You're killing it. You're super successful.
And now, here with Keely, her father done passed away. All of these situations happened. She is no longer a star like she was back in the day when she was on the Cheetah Girls and 3LW. Adrienne doesn't have anything to do with her. No longer useful to her. Adrienne is a social climber, y'all. That's where I'm getting at. And it's very familiar to the friend I told y'all that was a Scorpio. She was also a social climber.
I didn't do anything.
Okay, hold on. Calm down, though. Just count to 5 for me for like 2 seconds.
Okay.
Just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just count 5. You didn't do anything, and that's a horrible thing that happened if she did not show up to your dad's funeral with such a history. But stuff happens, and people's anger. My best friend didn't invite me to her wedding, and she met her husband through me.
Damn.
So, but I still talk to her because the history that we have for one another is so thick. She knows a part of you that nobody else knows.
Yeah. And that's what's so crazy.
But y'all prideful asses need to calm down, take a pill for a second, and say, I'm pissed at you, but let's talk about it.
Raven, sis, I know you mean well, but absolutely not. Keely is correct about this. Listen, if there's an important life event and your BFF can't even call you or check up on you, then consider that relationship done. We need to stop giving grace to people who have clearly shown who they are. And to be honest with you, After everything that Keely did for Adrienne, she was her rider. They was riding for each other in 3LW, them against the world. But look at how it turns out. When you click up and you try to make people your enemy because of insecurities, or maybe because you want to be the bigger star, whatever the reason was, and you haven't worked out and healed your own internal struggles and trauma, then don't expect for people to do the same to you, because whatever they did to others is going to come right back to you tenfold. And so now we see that Keely got her wake-up call. So while Adrienne was being her rider, when they was up against Notori, throwing fried chicken in her face, kicking out the van in the middle of the road, had her daddy had to come and get a lawyer to get out of this group, had her blackballed in the industry for years, they was sitting here clicking up. They even went on the Cheetah Girls together, and now look where they are today. No longer friends. And this is what happens when you don't have the best intentions for other people and you don't focus on yourself and what you got and the gift God gave you. So I wish Keely the best in her healing. And also, I hope that she has learned her lesson now and that she's not over here trying to project her own insecurities on other people. She needs to get it together for herself and her babies. That's what she needs to do now, because that time is over. Her time is gone. But at least now she can start afresh, and maybe she'll be able to move on into bigger and better things.
We love the one that we saw of you and Keely. Was that as you expected? Did it go the way that you had hoped for? Because it was really great to see that conversation play out in real time.
I mean, yeah, I'm okay. I think that there's, you know, more personal things that we have to get through that I know I'm not comfortable talking about on live. You know, that's just, you know, my mama's watching. I don't want to hear, I'm not trying to get cussed out today. So, you know, when we get to those moments, then I think, you know, that might help push some bricks through. But it's hard, you know. She's a mama. Sabrina's, you know, she's Perger's over there. Adrienne's out here in these streets with jewelry companies. I'm over here with Vienna. Like, we got lives, honey. We got lives.
Basically, what Raven's trying to say is that she's not with it, and she doesn't want a reunion, and the Cheetah Girls will not be reunited anytime soon. I wish Raven, Sabrina, and Keely the best. Next!
On her YouTube channel, All Things Adrienne went into detail about her childhood, her life, her marriage, y'all. We're going to get into that. And also her business ventures.
My mom is the funniest person ever. If anyone ever actually saw us hanging out, the things that we say to each other, like most people would be like, you can't say that to your mom. No, we are so close. We're super comfortable with one another. And she's literally one of my best friends. She is the most loving, most non-judgmental, kind, giving. I never felt like there wasn't anything I couldn't tell my mom.
And this is a beautiful relationship to have with your mother, by the way. And her mother are literally twins. Mother is very beautiful. I should say that as well. Now, the problem is just like Jeannie. I can already see that there are no boundaries and there's no accountability. You said she's non-judgmental. She's like your bestie. And whenever I see a mother-daughter duo where they're besties instead of parent-daughter, then I already know where this is headed. That means that there's some type of enabling behavior. Not all the time, but many and majority of the time when you have this dynamic, you're going to have a mama mind. Either there are no boundaries or there's an enabling type of situation going on here. So let's hear more about their mother-daughter bestie relationship.
Do not break the spirit of that child, because Adrienne used to receive reports that were like, she talks too much. And what is she now? I talk for a living. She's a talk show host.
I would leave work and walk up the block to pick her up. And I didn't know what the teacher was going to say to me that day. I would go with a knot in my stomach. And every day, every single day, it was, but it's always about, she's talking, she doesn't stop talking, she doesn't stop asking, she's a disruption of the class. And on and on. And I would I would get home so It was sadness at the same time, angry.
And it's anxiety.
There was just a lot of things. I went to a retreat in church, a women's retreat, and I went and I don't know whether it was a revelation. I don't want to, I know it was some sort of dream. And God literally, I can hear his voice tell me and showed me her in a bed, not moving. And he said, is this the way you want her? And I came back home Sunday and I came upstairs to the house and I asked for her forgiveness. That Monday I went to school and it was Mrs. Can I say her name? Maybe I can't. Her second grade teacher. I said to her, does my daughter do anything positive in this classroom? She looked at me, she goes, well, yes. And I said, well, you're a teacher, so that means that you learned behavior modification.
That's right.
So saying that to you, could you please possibly start focusing on the positives instead of the negatives?
Red flag. See, Mama, you was crying little tears and stuff, and I felt bad for you. Wipe your tears, Mama. Wipe your tears, Mommy. This is not the teacher's responsibility to teach your daughter that there's a time and a place to be a chatterbox. See, in the classroom, it is highly disruptive, yes, because you sit here yapping and yapping away, and other kids are trying to learn. And so you made it the teacher's responsibility to teach your child how to behave in the classroom and outside. And yes, I know there are debates that classrooms are like prisons and that we should be more diverse. However, I do find that it is extremely difficult to concentrate when you have somebody yapping and chatting away. We need to respect other people's learning styles as well, not just your child. And so for that, I gave you a red flag. And notice everything is always over spiritualized with a lot of Christian parents. My parents were extremely Christian, yes, and it's always a dream. A rêve in Creole. Oh yeah, m'te un rêve. That's how they say it. I had a dream that I saw this, and I don't want to get in between you and God's calling for you. And that may very well be. However, you should have been the one disciplining your child and teaching her that in the playground, you can chat all you want to, but in the classroom, be respectful. It's quite easy. It didn't need a spiritual explanation. But I can see here that her mother taught her how to look on the bright side of things, which is good within reason. But notice how she made the teacher focus on the positive sides of her daughter and not just, no, don't focus on the negative. We're not here to chat about that. We're only going to focus on the positive. And this is going to play a role in the decisions that Adrienne makes, especially when it comes to men, y'all. We can already see where Mama's going with this, but let's finish hearing this story. We're going to switch right over to Adrienne's relationships.
For my daughter. At the end of that class year, she was an excellent all E's in her report card. It was very hard. Financially, it was very, very, very difficult. It was financially because we didn't have a lot of money. I would save a little bit here, a little bit there, and my kids went to Sesame Street. My kids went to shows, to movies. I always made sure, even if I didn't have, like physically, I mean like clothing, the latest trend,
Mom used to joke, I haven't bought myself a pair of panties, but you guys have Gap.
I'm with you. I always knew I was Latina. The only difference is I did recognize that at some point, when you have a parent that doesn't speak the same language, when they go to school or they pick you up from school, I became the translator. And at first when I was younger, because my dad does not speak English, so I would end up being like this after school. Oh, papi, ellos están diciendo que yo necesito hacer esta cosa, whatever it was, like my parent need. I would have to translate. And sometimes that would be a little embarrassing when you're younger. You get embarrassed for being different, and it's so dumb because I'm so grateful now that I'm bilingual and I celebrate being Latina on a whole other level. And I love it. And it was always celebrated in my house. But when your dad can't join parent-teacher conference, you know, like that always made me feel weird. I'd have to sit there and be like, this is what's happening. But you know what?
I can totally relate to Adrienne's experience of being the translator, y'all. Because my parents, when we first moved to the United States from Canada, they only spoke French. And so we had to translate for them. And it was very interesting being the translator, at least for a few years. Eventually, they learned how to speak in English and we no longer had to translate for them any longer. However, it was quite an experience. Imagine you at a young age had to be a translator. And not only a translator, you also had to fill out your own forms, explain to your parent what this is, what that is. That's a lot of responsibility. So shout out to us immigrant children, the first generations. We learned so many different skills that are being celebrated today. Learning to speak multiple languages, having to fill out forms. I was an admin. Before I was in the 3rd grade, I knew how to fill out forms and sign checks. Shout out to us. Let's continue.
And I just knew that there was something special that you were going to be involved in. I didn't know exactly what it was. And when you were 14 and it presented itself for you to become part of 3LW, it was difficult for me because everyone, including my family and the church and everyone, was against me making this decision. But I knew, and at the time I had gotten married to Papa, and we sat, and he said to me, if you don't allow her to do this and this goes somewhere, she'll never forgive you. You have to take the chance. And I had to trust myself. I had to trust God and let you go. And it was a very difficult thing for me to do, but I don't regret it.
Of course you don't, Mama. A lot of Latino families are very traditional and they are extremely collectivist, meaning that they have the same kind of situation that I spoke about in the Jeannie Mai case study. If you haven't watched it, I highly recommend that you do, where the parents want the best for their child. However, sometimes it clashes with traditional values. So notice how she is very involved in the church. She comes from an extremely religious household. Her mother took a big risk, yo. This is a lot. Because not only was she going against her church, she also went against her family by sending her 14-year-old daughter into the entertainment business. And while I'm glad that it all worked out for the best with Adrienne, it wasn't always rosy.
When I first started, I was 14, 15. How old were you when you got into
16.
this? I had no idea on multiple things. I obviously got into this industry where people do make good amounts of money. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what was like, even what I should be paid, what I shouldn't be paid. No clue. And then when I got payment, if I'm not mistaken, some of it was held for me until I was 18. I think that's like
the
legally.
Coogan account.
Yes. I'm sorry. What is that?
It's called a Coogan account. So when you're a minor working in the industry, because of Macaulay Culkin and what happened with that whole case, now legally you have to form a Coogan account to where a percentage of your money goes into that account and you're not allowed to touch it till you're 18. And what's important about that is your parents can't touch it either. So it's a really safe way to keep us safe.
They need to do that with family vloggers. Sorry, I had to come up and say that because YouTube is unregulated at the moment. Social media is extremely unregulated. And I see a lot of kids, they literally are not being protected by these child labor laws. So shout out to whoever in California came up with this law. Y'all need to do it for the family vloggers as well. But that's another story for another day. Let's continue.
I was not informed of that either. And when I first got a W-2, I didn't know what it was. And I had someone tell me and advise me, and I did this for a few years, to file 9 on my dependents.
They were very young, having to learn all of this. A lot of our parents, they didn't know what was going on, had no clue. And they just expected us to know all of this. Red flag to our parents. I'm sorry, I gotta give them a bit of a red flag. As much as I gave them grace, the red flag is, why would you think your child would know this stuff if you don't even know? Because if you knew, you would have taught them. This is a problem. While she was in 3LW, she did face a lot of challenges in the entertainment industry, and especially being a young woman. Her mother was too trusting, and I noticed that with a lot of parents, especially religious parents. When you're in that church bubble, you think everyone is going to take care of your kid. I noticed that with a lot of Christian parents, that they are trusting, and they trust that God will make a way, and that God will make everything turn out for his greater good, and he will protect their children. And while that may very well be true, there's also an element of preparing your child for the worst, because you can't always just have faith that everything's going to work out in the positive way. And we already can see that Adrienne's mother is so focused on positive that she doesn't want to hear nothing about the negative side. It's like living in a Delulu land. And we're going to see if Adrienne picked up on that pattern, which I'm sure she did. There needs to be some type of risk assessment going on here because Adrienne went through a lot, especially as a young woman in an industry where young women are over-sexualized and preyed upon. So let's hear her experience.
Experienced an executive that would kiss me on the lips. Like, if he saw me going through the hallways, it would be like, hi. And I'd
Did
be
you
like,
ever like turn?
at
Did you
first,
ever
the
turn
first
your
time it
cheek?
happened, if I'm very honest, I thought it was an accident.
Okay.
So when you're younger and you're a teenager,
That's how it starts.
You think, you know, has that ever happened to somebody where you go to give a kiss to somebody and you're like, sorry.
I do the dodge.
But no, it consistently happened to the point where I was like, this ain't cool, man. Like now he knows I'm not going to say anything.
Red flag. Sis didn't have any guardians around her. Adrienne was left to fend for herself. And this is why it is extremely important to be there for your kids. If you want your kid to be an entertainer and to be in the entertainment industry, I highly recommend that you have to quit your job and be there at all times. You're going to need to let them know that nobody can touch you or your child. Because this is what happens, and it happens quite often. The fact that a grown-ass man would kiss a teenager, it is not only sick behavior and predatory, but it is expected in this industry, especially when they see that you don't have anyone around you to protect you. And so while her mother was praying at the church and fighting against the people who didn't want her to send her daughter to the entertainment industry, with good reason, might I add, and while she was trusting that God would just handle everything, her daughter was fending for herself.
Right. Which is not okay. Obviously that happened then. I would never allow that to happen now.
Right.
But a lot of women are in fear. And you ask yourself, well, why do they let them get away with it?
Right.
Fear has a big part to do with it. And two, these men are usually famous. Because you're famous, you can get away with it.
Very proud because I know that this didn't come easy to her. She's had to struggle. She's had to work really, really hard. But she never gave up. She didn't care. It was like one door closed and she would just knock on the next door and just keep on going and keep on. And I think that's what makes me the most proud, that she never gave up her dream. So proud of it. So very proud.
Like, I don't think people understand. Like, people are always shocked when they find out that my mom still works. See, now I get you, Mom. And I think that for me has been such a great example, because I started working when I was 14 years old, and my mom could have retired right then and there and been like, well, my daughter is, she's doing well off. She can support me. And my mom, till this day, wakes up and goes to, what time do you wake up in the morning, Mom?
On Mondays at 4 and the rest of the week at 5:30.
My mom is the first person in the office. She is the head of her department. How do you explain what you do, Mom?
I'm a practice manager for pediatrics.
Shout out to her mother for having a career and her own life. I thought Adrienne was taking care of her mother, and she probably is to a certain extent, but it looks like her mother can hold down her own. And for that, I'll give her a green flag. She understood that she still has a life apart and aside from her daughter. Lets her daughter do her thing in the entertainment world, and she's in the pediatric world. And I think that this also speaks volumes as to her character, and it shows that she has an identity outside of her daughter's success.
How much do you love my husband?
I love him to the moon and back and beyond.
No, they have their own little love affair. They love each other.
He has been an answer prayer to, I believe, to my daughter's life and to our family. I'm trying to put this nicely.
Yeah.
But in past relationships, I'm not the kind of mom to tell my daughters, this is not who you should be going out with.
Red flag, you shut up, sis. Mama, I was with you until all of this. Because y'all want to know who Israel is? We're going to get into it soon enough. Let's put a pin on this interview right here. I think this is the perfect segue to get into Adrienne's relationships. And we're going to see why her mother should have been more involved. Because if she's sitting around here telling us that she loves Israel and that her and Israel have this special relationship, then that tells me all that I need to know about Mama here. Love your work ethic, by the way. And I love the fact that you have your own, you're very strong-willed, you raise your daughter to be independent. I love all of that. But however, mommy, dearest, you should have been involved in her love life because it's in shambles here.
Many, many moons ago, you and I went to the movies together. Yes, good time.
No,
I brought my entire girl group with us to the movies.
Because we just did a music video.
Yes.
So afterward, you want me to tell the story?
Go.
Because Adrienne wilded out at the date. That's it.
No!
Red flag, sis. Nick Cannon.
Stay tuned for part 2 of this case study.